Shake your shake. All right, all right, all right. It's been a long time. Hey, I was on the women's series, and we're now on hijab. Hijab is my identity. The beauty about hijab, what every Muslim woman has to know about a hijab. There is so much beauty in wearing the hijab. Every Muslim woman must wear the hijab. The teaching of Islam is that every modest woman who is a Muslim must wear the hijab to cover themselves, to show how modest they are, to show how preserved unto Allah they are, to show how decent they are. The hijab is our identity as Muslim women. We're going to learn about the beauty about a hijab. And then we will listen to Dr. Shabir Ali, what he has to say about the beauty of the hijab. You see, the other day, I was surfing the internet and then I saw a video of some Ghanaian Muslim women. These are Muslim women from my country. And there are some Ghanaian Muslim women living in America who went back home to Ghana, teamed up, joined up with the Muslim women in Ghana in a beautiful parade and demonstration through the principal street of Ghana, holding placards telling everybody how hijab was good, how important it is for every Muslim woman to wear the hijab, and that if the institutions in Ghana do not let the women to wear their hijab, they are infringing upon the right of the Muslim woman. When I saw it, I was like, oh, wow. And the message on the placards that they were holding, majority of the women were holding, the message was that hijab is my identity. Hijab is my identity. It means that me as a Muslim woman, it is the hijab that really identifies who you are. And I was like, let me help these Muslim women to understand what that identity is. So I decided to go into the hadith. Look, Sunan an-Nasai 3382, books 26, hadith number 187. It was narrated that Anas said, the Prophet stayed between Khaybar and Al-Madinah for 3 days when he consummated his marriage to Safia bin Huyay. Now, this is when the Prophet had Safia. You remember that they went to war, and the Prophet and his men, they killed the family of Safia and the husband of Safia. And they took Safia, and we remember about how one of the men of Muhammad had Safia, and Muhammad took Safia from him because Safia was beautiful. The Muslim women were talking about hijab is their identity, and this is the identity. Let's read. Consummated his marriage to Safia bin Huyay, and I invited the Muslims to his walima, that is the marriage ceremony, in which there was no bread or meat. He commanded, so all the so this is Safia's wedding, and the people were asking a question. Look, the Muslim said, will she be one of the mothers of the believers, or a female slave whom his right hand possesses? So look at hijab. Hijab is your identity, Muslim woman. This is the identity. The Muslims asked the question. They said, they said, if she is going to be, is she going to be one of the mothers of the believers? That is Safia going to be a wife of the prophet, or a female slave whom his right hand possesses? You know, the Quran allows Muslims to marry up to 4 and to have many slave girls that they can capture and do boom boom to them. So the Quran encourages Muslim men to rape women, take slaves and rape them, as many as your right hand could possess. It is uncountable the number of slave women you can rape. This is the Quran. So your prophet was raping women. The prophet was a rapist prophet. Muhammad was a rapist, according to the hadith. So listen, the people, they said, if he has a hijab for her, then she will be one of the mothers of the believers. So this is the identity. If they have a hijab for Safia, if Muhammad gives Safia a hijab, it means that now she is a wife of the prophet. If Muhammad does not give Safia a hijab, it means that then she will be a female slave whom his right hand possesses. It means that if the prophet does not give Safia a hijab, then Safia will just be a female slave that the prophet will turn into his sex machine. So in Islam, a woman is either a married woman who has respect in the society, or a woman is a slave woman who has no respect, can be molested, can be raped, can be turned into a sex machine. So if the Muslim women walk around, march around, and they say that hijab is their identity, they are saying that, oh, I agree that hijab shows that either I am a married woman who shouldn't be raped, or if I don't wear it, I should be raped. This is the message the Muslim women are telling the world. Hijab is your identity. So if the hijab is to distinguish between those women who are free and should not be harassed or raped by men, meaning that as a slave woman will not be allowed to wear the hijab. You see, they make the hijab to be like it's for everybody. It's a lie. Today they are trying to say the hijab is for every Muslim woman. It's a lie. The hijab was made for the married ones. In fact, in the hadith, it is known that when Abu Bakr became the caliph, if you were a slave girl and you were caught wearing a hijab, you will be punished. Why will you be punished? Because you are hiding yourself from the Muslim men from raping you or harassing you or molesting you. And the Quran is in support of that. So let us read Quran chapter 33, Quran 33 verse 59. And Dr. Shabir Ali will come and say something about this. Listen. Quran 33:59. O Prophet, tell your wives, your daughters, and the women of the believers to draw their clothes, it says veil, all over their bodies. That will be better, that they should be known. Look here into bracket. They're using the hadith to put it. They should be known as free, respectable women. Free, respectable women. So as not to be annoyed, so that the Muslim men will not what? anoint them, harass them for sex. And Shabir Ali quotes the scripture and he makes us understand what these translators are hiding. They're saying so as to be anointed. But Shabir Ali, let's listen to Dr. Shabir Ali talking about Quran 33:59.
So we go to the Quran for this, and in the Quran, in Surah 24, verse number 31, it says, "Tell the believing women to draw their head coverings over their bosoms so that they will not display their beauty, except for some specified individuals, where in the case of the husbands, obviously all of their bodies can be shown, and in case of some close relatives, a more relaxed sort of home dress would be appropriate." As opposed to when one is going out of doors. As to when one is going out of doors, Surah 33, verse number 59, seems more to the point, saying...
So, he says that Surah 33:59 is more to the point. Let's listen.
Tell the believing women to draw a part of their jilbabs. Here's an Arabic word, jilbab, meaning like a large outer cloak, to bring part of that jilbab over themselves so that they would be recognized and not molested. Now,
did you hear that? So that they will be recognized and not molested.
And not molested. Now, putting these two...
So listen. So it's about molestation. So that you got to wear the hijab so you will not be molested. But you see how they did it so as not to be annoyed. They're always hiding the truth. So the hijab was to show that you were what? A woman that should not be molested or one that should be molested. The hijab is not a sign of what? Modesty. No. The hijab is a sign of sex. It's a mark of what? Bondage for the slave woman. And it's a mark of what? Freedom for the married free woman. So hijab being your identity, Muslim woman, means that you are saying that you are not a what? A slave woman. It means that you support the slavery of what? Women. How can a woman, Muslim women, how can you Muslim women gather together to support the slavery of women by going around with what? Placards that hijab is your identity? You support that Muslim men should rape women who are slaves? How on earth? Hijab turns a Muslim woman into a sex object that belongs to someone and should not be raped because she is not a slave but a free married woman. The sex slaves can be molested. The Quran talks about them. As many as your right hand could possess. The book of Allah, the book of God of the Muslims, their God brought a book to them that says that they can have 4 women and they can have so many slave women they can do boom boom to. Is this God? Can you believe that this is God? Muslim woman? Don't you think you are being duped, being lied to believe this is God? The whole thing about hijab is whether somebody can marry you or cannot marry you. If they can marry you, then they have no access. So you cover your face. If they cannot marry you, then it's all about sex. Hijab has nothing to do with modesty. Muslim woman, hijab is about sex and molestation and harassment. Sahih Muslim 1445I, Aisha reported that her foster uncle, whose name was Afla, sought permission from her to enter into the house, but she observed seclusion, hijab. So when Aisha's uncle, foster uncle, wanted to what? Visit Aisha, revelation about hijab had been revealed. So Aisha thought that, okay, if anybody want to see me, I have to wear the hijab. So Aisha put on the hijab and told Muhammad about it. And Muhammad said, look, listen, do not observe veil from him, for he is mahram. That is one who cannot marry you on account of what? Fosterage. As one is mahram on account of what? Consanguinity. So the Prophet was saying, you are related to Afla. Because you're related to Afla through fosterage, you don't have to what? Observe hijab before him. So the whole thing is, Afla, it's because Afla was a foster uncle. Afla cannot what? Marry what? Aisha. Because Afla cannot marry Aisha, Aisha can go before Afla without a hijab. That is just how it is. If Afla can marry Aisha, then Aisha should not go before Afla with a hijab. Now, let's read this last hadith. Let's read this last hadith. And you will understand this. Read this. Sunan An-Nasai, 100. Book 1, hadith number 100. Read. Abu Abdullah Salim Sabalan said, Aisha liked my honesty and hired me. So there's a slave boy. And Aisha hired the slave boy. Now, because the boy is a slave boy, he cannot marry Aisha. Cannot do boom boom to Aisha. Because of that, Aisha was now wearing what? Hijab before Abu Abdullah Salim Sabalan. Now let's read on. And she showed me how the Messenger of Allah used to perform wudu. She rinsed her mouth, sniffed water into her nostrils, blew it out 3 times, and washed her face 3 times. Then she washed her right hand 3 times. So look, so Aisha showed him how to do wudu. But listen, Salim said, I came to her as a slave with a contract of manumission, and she did not hide herself from me. So when Abu Abdullah came to Aisha, he was a slave with a contract of manumission that one day, it means one day he will buy himself out of slavery. Aisha, because the guy was a slave and cannot do boom boom to Aisha or marry Aisha, Aisha was what? Was not covering, was not using the hijab. So this guy was seeing Aisha, how Aisha is all the time. She was with Aisha in the room, be with her in the house because she was working for Aisha. Aisha never wore any hijab before this guy. They say she would sit before me and talk to me. So Aisha would sit down and talk to this guy, slave guy. Until I came to her one day and said, pray for blessings for me, O mothers of the believers. She said, why is that? I said, Allah has set me free. She said, may Allah bless you. Then, listen, immediately Aisha realized that Abu Abdullah has become free. Now he can do boom boom to Aisha. He is a free man. A free man can do boom boom to Aisha. So now Aisha has to cover her face or herself with the hijab. The same guy that Aisha has been revealing herself to. Immediately this guy became a free man. Aisha now covered with the hijab. Then she lowered the hijab before me, and I never saw her again after that day. So the guy was a slave. So she will sit down. Aisha will sit down with him and chat, talk, happy, just like she is. He will see Aisha's face, everything about Aisha. But the day he became free, Aisha lowered the hijab, and Aisha did not come to talk with him again. This is the hijab identity. It is a sign of boom boom. It is a sign of what? That the woman is a sex object. Hijab is my identity. Shake your shit. I'll bring you the next video on how the hijab was revealed and came to be. It's a fantastic story. Wait for that video. Shake your shake. Alright.